Hi, everybody. Welcome to another installment of Ask a Witch. My name's Katrina Rasbold. I've been a practicing witch for 40 years and a professional witch for a good many of those years. And I like to use this series to address some of the questions that most often get asked to me by people that want to know more about witchcraft. And that way I figure if somebody's asking it, somebody else might want to know. So this week, this is a really big question that comes up quite a bit. And it's because people have a lot of fear associated with witchcraft. And the question is, does all magic come at a price? And what they really want to know about that, there's kind of a hidden question in this. So they'll ask that, but maybe because they heard it on Once Upon a Time, or all magic comes at a price, dearie, or this idea that you're going to have to sacrifice something or give an arm and a leg or lose a loved one or something if you work magic. What it really comes down to is the question, what kind of backlash am I going to have for doing this spell work that I want to do? And that's what they want to know. What am I going to have to pay? What am I going to have to sacrifice if I do this? Now, first of all, what I really want to say is that spell work is a natural process. It's not, we refer to it as supernatural because it's something that we don't always understand exactly how or why it works, but it is a natural process. We are harnessing natural energy and putting it toward the use toward a specific goal. And when we talk about what am I going to have to pay for this, in a way, part of it is about balance and about when we get something, we should balance the scales and give something. And that keeps things in balance. But people talk about things like backlash, like if I do this spell work, is something terrible going to happen to me outside of my control? And the answer is that depends. And what it depends on is your specific motivation and intention when you're doing the spell work. If you know you're doing spell work to do something wrong, yeah, you're probably going to get some payback. And that's because the guilt and the understanding that you're doing something wrong is going to pull that to you. There's a way of course correcting that will bring that karmic return back to you. So one way to look at this, I got a buddy, John Beckett. You can find him over at pathos.com. John's just a brilliant man, and I enjoy so much reading his books and his articles and going to his lectures. And one of the things John said that really moved me at one time is he said, don't ever do something to someone magically that you would not do to them mundanely. So if you would not try to break up somebody's marriage mundanely by going and interfering with their marriage, or not even marriage, but their relationship, and try to break them up actively, don't do a breakup spell, because that means you know it's wrong. Don't hide behind your magic to do shitty stuff that you're not willing to do on a mundane level. Your magic should always kind of amplify or accentuate your mundane life. It shouldn't take the place of what you need to do mundanely. Magic shouldn't be your hitman that goes out and does stuff that you're too scared to do. Now, I'm going to put a codicil on that and say that if you are in a situation where you are threatened or you are in danger, if you don't respond in a certain way, that's different. So if you do magic to banish somebody from your life because they're a threat to you, that kind of is a different situation. And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the willful interference in somebody else's life. Now, I say somebody else's life because 90% of the magic people ask me to do on their behalf is interfering with somebody else's life or attempting to change the behavior of another person. Too often people get invested in what other people are doing when they're working magic rather than working on themselves. And so you've got an automatic resistance there that happens because other people don't want to be manipulated magically or energetically. And so they're automatically going to push back on that. And the effectiveness of any magical work you do is limited to how much resistance are you going to get. And if you're getting a lot of pushback, a lot of resistance on work you want to do, you've got a much less of a chance that your magic is going to be successful. So if you're doing magic to break up a happy couple, for instance, because you want to be with one another or you don't think they should be together, and they want to be together, you've automatically got resistance to your work because the target doesn't want that to happen. If you got a 30-year-old child that's laying on your couch playing video games and doesn't want to get up and get a job, you've got automatic resistance because that person doesn't want to get a job. So you doing hot foot magic to get them moving, or you doing magic to bring a job into them, it's not going to be as effective because that person doesn't want that to happen. So your resistance is a big thing. Calculating the resistance you're going to hit. Now, it can help. You can definitely push the situation forward a little bit, but the effectiveness is reduced if you've got high resistance. So that being the case, let's get back to our question. Does magic come at a cost? Not necessarily. So if you are going to do magic to bring yourself a better job, and you really do the legwork as well, you take extra classes so that you've got a better resume, you get somebody to fine-tune your resume, you're all over the classifieds all the time and looking for the job that's right for you, and you're doing all the mundane work, plus you're burning candles or doing whatever magic to get a great job, you are not going to sacrifice for that. You're not going to have to give up something in order to get that. If you want love in your life and you put candles out there or mojo bags or certain oils that say, bring to me my soulmate, bring to me my person that is the one that is going to be a good mate for me, you're not going to have to pay for that because that's going to bring somebody else their perfect mate in you. It's going to make that right connection happen. So no, you're not going to have to give up something in order to get that. But if you are, and you're not going to suffer any backlash for it. Now, the way that you will suffer backlash in a love spell is if you're trying to compel someone who's not interested in you to be interested in you and want to be with you. Number one, that person doesn't want to be interested in you, or they would be. And so you're going to have that resistance that we talked about. Number two, once they do start paying attention to you and being nice to you and receptive to your advances, you don't know if they genuinely care about you now or if it's because of the magical work you're doing. Number three, if it is because of the magical work you're doing, it's going to wear off. You're not going to do magical work on this person until you die. You're going to have a time where that person reverts to their original way of thinking, and then you're both going to get hurt. So that is one way that love work can come at a price, because you're trying to manipulate somebody into having feelings they don't organically have for you. So basically what it comes down to is, are you being an asshole? If you're being an asshole with your magic and trying to force something that ought not happen or is not happening or doesn't have a chance to happen organically, then you're probably going to have some backlash. It's not usually going to go well. If you're doing something that is furthering your life and advancing your situation and not harming another person, you're not going to have backlash. You're going to do just fine. So we don't want to go into magic as a place of fear. That's the biggest problem, is if you're afraid of magic, it's probably because you're doing something you know you shouldn't be doing. But if you're going into that and you're just putting energy of abundance and wealth and love and health out there in the world to help yourself heal and be the best person you can be and have the best life you can be, and you're not imposing on the free will of another person, you are going to do just fine. And you're not going to have to give up your firstborn child or anything like that. You're going to be fine. But when you start encroaching on the free will of other people, and you start hitting those huge resistance points because somebody doesn't want what you want, there's going to be a problem. We mentioned the job situation. If you have a specific job in your company that you want, and somebody's been doing that job for 12, 15 years and they're good at it and they like it and management likes them, but doggone it, you want that job and you start doing magic for them to lose their job and you to get that job, probably not going to go well for you. You're impeding on the free will of a lot of people there, not just the person in the job, but the management that wants them there, their wife that wants them to stay in that job, their kids that want us to continue to be fed. So when you are evaluating magical process, you never do spell work without evaluation and consideration. Anytime you're investing your energy and divine energy into a specific outcome, it should be thoughtful. It should be something that is well considered. And part of your consideration is, how much resistance am I likely to hit? How many people are going to not want this to happen? And how much am I going to hurt other people by doing this? And those three things will tell you whether or not you're likely to run into what we would call karmic backlash, or uh, having an unfavorable outcome to your magical work. If you can answer all those questions saying, I'm not harming anybody, I'm not attempting to influence anybody who doesn't want to be influenced, and my ambitions and my intentions are all completely honorable, you're going to be just fine. So I just want to emphasize that doesn't have to be that way. Now, let's talk just a little bit about sacrifice. And it's not always, wringing a chicken's neck or something like that. It can be about offering something in return for what you want. Now, I'm going to give a real quick example. Now, I work with Santa Muerte, who is the saint of death. And there are certain, how can I put it? There's certain traditions associated with appealing to her. My beloved daughter-in-law, who I adore and has been married to my son for more than 20 years, got cancer. And we were really concerned about her. It was looking really bad. And I did what they call the crawl. And that is where you crawl a certain distance on your hands and knees to Santa Muerte, usually a statue of her. And that is your offering. You are humbling yourself and you're going through some physical discomfort as an offering to say, this is how important this is to me. This is how much I want this, that I'm willing to give of myself, my energy, my comfort for this to happen. It's one thing to sit there and go, dink, and light a little candle and put some energy into it. It's something different when you experience through your own choice some sort of inconvenience or some sort of discomfort for a goal that is very important to you. So that is the true form of sacrifice that a lot of witches do practice, is they'll make an offering for some big ask that they've got. And sometimes it's a matter of, look, I really need to get a better job that is going to, make your list. It's going to pay enough for me to live a comfortable life. It's going to be full time. It's going to be permanent. It's going to have benefits. It's going to be something that really accentuates what I do well. It's going to really amplify my bonuses and my skills that I have. My skill set's going to be put to good use. You got your big long list of what all you want for this job, and you say something like, in return for that, I'm going to go work at this soup kitchen, this homeless shelter, every weekend for the next 2 weeks. And I'm going to give to people that are less fortunate than I am. I'm going to dish out the soup, and I'm going to wear the hairnet, and I'm going to feed others. I'm going to make a donation to this charity. Because what I'm doing is money related. I want to have a better way of life. Therefore, I'm going to give somebody else a better way of life. And that's just sort of front loading your magic so that you're putting more energy toward it before the outcome is assured. So that's a way that magic can cost, but it's an offering. It's an actual willful donation of energy toward that outcome to kind of up the ante a little bit on your spell work that you're doing. So what's interesting about the Santa Muerte crawl, I just want to add this in real quick, is that when you get what you want, or what you asked for, you have to go back to the same location and crawl again in the same way to say thank you. And I'm very thrilled to say that I got to do that crawl for my daughter-in-law when she was declared cancer-free some time back. So that offering is one of joy, and it's one of celebration. So those are the ways that I see that magic can come at a price or might come at a price. But most of the time, for most of the things that people do, energetically speaking, they're going to be just fine. So just look to your intention and the big words. Don't be an asshole, because that's going to trip you up magically every time. If you know you're doing something wrong, your spirit knows, and your spirit will work to balance those scales. And that's what we want to really stay on top of, to make sure that our intentions are pure and honorable. So I hope that helps and gives you the information you need regarding, does magic come at a price, dearie? No, sometimes magic is just a tool that you're using to have a better life, and that's okay. Y'all take care now. Bye-bye.